This video is a framework for how to make difficult decisions, and essentially you come across these situations in life and it doesn't matter what you're doing. You might be, choosing between whether you want one job or another, or you might be choosing, something from a business perspective or even from a relationship perspective. Whatever your dilemma is, this will be something that's extremely helpful. Essentially, you put your two choices at the top. So for example, I wanted to choose between being a full-time doctor versus being a full-time YouTuber. Okay, what you do is you make it so that it's a kind of table, and on this left-hand side of the table, what you want to do is you want to put down the different things that matter to you. So for example, it might be time control. In other words, how much time I get to, how much I'm able to control my time on a day-to-day basis. It might be, creative expression for me as a parameter. These are all the things that sort of matter to you. So for example, fun, meaning, money. And what you want to do is, before you start scoring them, because eventually what you're going to do is you're going to actually score them, what you want to do next is you want to actually weight down the different decisions. So for example, controlling my time is really important to me. So out of 10, I might say that that's going to be maybe like an 8 out of 10. For creative expression, I really like the idea of expressing myself creatively. So I'm going to probably put it about maybe 8 out of 10. For me, fun is extremely important. So I'm going to actually put that at 10 out of 10. Meaningfulness is also very high up. So I'm going to put that at 10 out of 10 as well. Money is not as important to me in a sense, so I'm just going to put a 6 out of 10 there. Just an example. You define the importance of how much you want to have at each of these things, right? Out of a score, perhaps out of 100, or to make it easier, maybe out of 10, you want to put down how much each of these parameters, the different choices, will give you. So for example, for me being a doctor, time control is reasonable because I'm a GP, but I'm going to put that maybe as a 6 out of 10, because compared to YouTubing, I can get a lot of time control with that one. Then my YouTubing thing will be like 10 out of 10 for that, because I can do whatever I want. Creative expression, look, for a doctor, you don't really get to creatively express yourself. Maybe it doesn't matter as much for me. So I'm going to actually change the weighting there to be, I don't know, let's say 5 out of 10. Being a doctor, I can't really be that creative, put like a 6 out of 10 there. But being a YouTuber, quite creative, so I'm going to put 8 out of 10 there. For me, I don't mind medicine, it's kind of fun, so I might just put a 7 out of 10 there. And making YouTube videos, I feel like would be 9 out of 10. In terms of meaning though, for being a doctor, definitely helping people is close, very, very close to, the benefit I want to provide people in life. So I'm going to put a 10 out of 10 here. For YouTubing, it'll depend, that might change. So it'll be somewhere between like, I don't know, 8 to 10 or something. Being a doctor, at least I'll be able to earn money for sure. So I have to put a 10 out of 10 for the money perspective. And being a YouTuber, I mean, to start off with, this might change over time, of course, but the money aspect of things is going to be a 4 out of 10, because I'm sure I can't earn that much money from being a YouTuber, at least to start off with, right? Now you've got all these parameters, and what you need to do is you need to essentially multiply the different parameters. So for example, time control, I've got an 8 here, and doctor is going to be 6. 6 times 8 is going to be 48. Here is going to be 8 times 10, which is just 80. And you just calculate all this up. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to sum them all up. So for example, 48 plus 30 plus 70 plus 100 plus 60 is equal to 308. That's the score for being a full-time doctor. And for being a full-time YouTuber, I'm going to calculate the same things. So again, taking this 80 plus 40 plus 90 plus 80 to 100 plus 24. Okay, so I've calculated that. If you do have really like two close decisions that you're not quite sure how to decide, you'll often find that the end results of these are actually quite close together. So for example, for here, you can see that I've got a 312 for the conservative score of being a full-time YouTuber versus 308 for being a doctor, right? Theoretically, from my perspective, and this is all based on what you think, but from my perspective, for me, maybe being a YouTuber might actually be a slightly better thing than being a doctor in this particular case. Just from a purely personal perspective, you can of course have your own views on the meaning of being a doctor versus the meaning of being a YouTuber and that sort of thing. But that said, from the things that I actually care about, I can see that okay, it's weighted like this. This is my actual decision, and the main thing about this thing is that if you have a decision that seems to be heavily weighted in one direction, it might tell you that that's the correct direction to go, right? So for example, by the circumstance of purely metrics, technically YouTubing for me might be the best way to go, right? But if you come to a decision like this and then you say, okay, then I'll do this decision, have a listen at that moment to your gut, because the thing is your gut will ultimately tell you what you really want to do or what you really should do, right? So for example, if I'm like, okay, I should become a full-time YouTuber, I feel like really, really happy with that, right? That means that is a good decision. If I come to this decision and be like, oh look, YouTuber is technically the correct thing to do, but I really want to be a doctor, listen to that gut feeling instead, because in the end, that gut feeling is probably going to give you a lot of good information too. This is how you make hard decisions. This is how you can give a lot of clarity to the decision that you're making. making. Obviously, of course, you can put in, however many parameters you want. You might be deciding between 3 decisions, like 3 different houses, something like that. I might put plumber here as an example, right? It doesn't matter how many decisions you make. You don't even have to do this on paper. I just like doing it on paper personally because it's something that makes it feel a bit more weighty in terms of your decisions and in terms of the things that you care about. Whereas if you sort of put it on a computer, sometimes these numbers can seem very abstract and sort of feel like they mean less somehow. That's just a personal thing. There's no particular scientific or other reason for that. But yeah, this is a really, really good tool for helping you make tough decisions, really making decisions in the way that you really want them to. And the thing is, if you have, you have 2 decisions and those decisions are both equal in terms of their number, well, it means that it doesn't matter what decision you choose so long as you choose a decision. Because you have to remember that doing nothing is also an action in itself. So hope that's been helpful. And this is a bit of a weird video. I'm just actually finishing off my general practice exams for the moment. So when I come out of it, I'll be doing a lot more YouTubing. Now, this is not my full list. To be honest, I have really a lot of gradations between being a doctor and being a YouTuber. And that's the thing I'll be titrating next year. And feel free to subscribe if you like life hacks like this. I'll catch you in the next video. See you later.